Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with the final of the new Danger Packs that I'm going to take a look at. We've got the Epic Evolution Jurassic World Chaos Theory Danger Pack Gallimimus, and it is pretty cool to see a new version of the Gallimimus coming out, even though the feet look gigantic on this, even bigger than they normally do for some reason. But it is still a pretty cool looking, newly sculpted version of the Gallimimus, which is definitely a plus as far as I'm concerned. It's also pretty decent looking as far as the sculpt and paint, when, you know, like the fine detail and the paint job is kind of decent. You know, it's not really anything that I remember seeing, and I don't recall seeing it in Chaos Theory, but a lot of the figures that you get from, you know, Mattel in these lines don't necessarily show up actually on screen, but it's again, pretty fun looking Gallimimus overall. And then of course you have the back of the packaging, which just basically shows off all of the figures. I'm not going to review that one most likely unless I see it in store and I do notice any sort of a difference, then maybe I'll grab it just to show you guys, but I think that's a safe bet that it's the exact same figure yet again. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box, and jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of the Gallimimus, you can see it looks pretty decent. You know, you've got some okay looking skin texture, nothing super impressive or crazy, but it looks alright for what it is. We can see the nostrils there on the tip of the snout. The eyes are painted with a yellow, given a black pupil. And then you can also see we've got like this like pinkish tone here in the face that kind of runs through the face on the upper jaw only, and then up and over the top of the head. I think that's a pretty cool addition, again, as far as the coloration goes. That's the one area that I don't remember seeing in like any shows or anything previously, so I don't know if that's just like a Mattel sort of idea on their own, or maybe there was a color variant that I just happened to miss that kind of looks like this, who knows. But what is cool is this has an articulated jaw, and that's not something you usually see on the Mattel Gallimimus in the main line. At least we did see it on the Hammond Collection version, but you can see the inside of the mouth sports a nice pink tongue. You've got the teeth sculpted out and painted in there. And then you can see the teeth on the inside of the mouth and the upper jaw are also painted. They're super, super tiny, so it's hard to really establish the teeth exactly. The detailing looks okay on the inside of the mouth on the upper side, but no paintwork or anything up there. You can see the skin stretching there as the mouth is open, though, is also painted with the pinkish tone. And then if you look over here, you can see my eye placement is not so great. It's kind of like looking back behind it, so that looks a little awkward. But as you move back here, you see the pinkish tone disappear as you lead down the course of the neck. You have like a yellowish brown for the primary body color of the Gallimimus, and you pick up this dark brown striping, and it starts out really nice and smooth, like kind of blending nicely with the body, which is a plus for the figure. There's also a speckling, which I can see here picking up as we move down the course of the neck, a few little areas of like a speckling moving down. You continue to have that patterning running along the back as you lead down into the body, but you also have a lighter tone pick up in the throat and run down along the underside of the Gallimimus. You can see the throat itself is also nicely sculpted. You do have an articulated neck, which can go forward. That's about as far down as it can go. And then that's about as high up as it can go, so it can really look up at the stars if it wants to. As you move down into the body a little bit further, you can see the brown is much more abundant. Now, once you reach the body, it starts to kind of like extend out all over the place here on our Gallimimus. You can see the spinal column there running along the back of the dinosaur. The skin texture, again, continues to look pretty nice. Nothing, like I said, overly impressive, but good for what it is. You can see the arms are also nicely sculpted. You've got muscle definition there. You can see the elbow. And I really like the way that the arms are kind of held into the body on this one. I just think that's a really nice touch. The fingers have a scoot-like appearance moving down, and you can see some more speckles right there. The nails are sculpted out in pretty much your standard typical fashion where they don't really look all that sharp, but they are unpainted as well, which is also pretty common. As you move along the underside, you continue to have that light tone following down here. You have almost a little bit of a pop belly for the Gallimimus right there. More of that patterning, again, moving out as you lead here into the hip region. You can see a little bit of it leading down into the thigh, which is nice to have that little extra paintwork right there. You can see the muscle definition of the thigh looks really good. The skin texture looks phenomenal, actually, in the thigh. I would say that's probably the best looking skin texture through the course of the entire sculpt. You also have a nicely sculpted calf muscle moving down. You've got the knee right there. As you move down into the foot, you can see we've got some scoots running down the toes. The speckling occurs really quite abundantly down here into the foot. You can see the nails are sculpted out, but they are unpainted. They do still have a slight satin shine to them, but not much of one. And the feet are definitely really quite large on this figure. They're definitely a bit on the oversized side of things. But as you lead back here into the tail, you can see again it all looks pretty decent moving out. You do have a swivel tail, of course, as you usually do for Mattel, but unfortunately as you lead out into the tail, in typical fashion, you don't have any more of that patterning moving out. You do have a nice curve to the tail, though, which looks fairly decent overall. The opposing side, of course, is going to look pretty much the same, except one leg is trailing here compared to the leg leading on the other side. Those larger feet are just so distracting for this figure. They definitely look a good bit awkward, I would say. But as far as the articulation of the body, you can, of course, articulate the arm forward and back. Same deal for the leg as well. And then we already mentioned the articulated tail with the swivel. The leg can, of course, also go forward. We do have the fax app code right here, if you would like to add that one to your collection. But again, it's a pretty fun Gallimimus. I would say it's not going to be something that's going to light the Jurassic World fan base on fire, but it's still, you know, fairly decent, I guess, for what it is. It's just nice in general to have a newly sculpted version of the Gallimimus. It's been a little while since we had that. As you can also see, the Gallimimus does stand pretty nicely, but with feet as gigantic as this one has, I would like to hope so. But as far as a length goes, let's actually go ahead and extend the head out so we can get like a maximum length on this guy. So from the snout to the tail, about 7 inches or approaching 18 centimeters, but not quite there. And then for a height, we'll put that neck up as far as we can, I would say. And you were looking at just a hair under 5 inches or around 12.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A Human Being next to our Danger Pack Gallimimus. And just as you would expect it to be, it's in the size range as pretty much all of the other Gallimimus usually are. And you know what your typical Danger Pack size range would usually be. And then for one final comparison, we just have a few more Mattel Gallimimus stepping in here for a comparison to give you an idea of the size of the new version. It looks like maybe it's slightly smaller than the previous Gallimimus releases, but really not by much. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Chaos Theory Danger Pack Gallimimus is pretty fun. You know, it's nothing, again, as I said, groundbreaking. It's nothing that's absolutely going to blow your mind. But when it comes to a Gallimimus figure, it's a pretty decent sculpt. The worst part of the sculpt for me is the incredibly large feet. Like, for some reason, this one just has gigantic feet, even bigger than what I'm used to from Mattel. So it really takes away a lot visually from the figure. Like when you look at it, it's just so hard to ignore those extra large feet. And honestly, it's like the only thing I see when I look at the figure, so it kind of drives me insane. But outside of the incredibly large supersized feet, we do have a nicely sculpted figure. It's got some nice fine detail. I love the positioning of the arms. Everything looks pretty good overall as far as the sculpt goes once you move past the feet. The paint job is pretty decent, but nothing as well to really, you know, rave about. It's just okay for what it is, and, you know, it's pretty decently applied. We, of course, do have articulation, and this one does feature jaw articulation, which is really nice, especially for a mainline Mattel Gallimimus, because that's not something we've seen before. The only time we've had jaw articulation on a Gallimimus was the Hammond Collection version, so it is nice to now have jaw articulation on this one as well. But overall, it's still a pretty fun figure, even if it has gigantic feet. I definitely think it's worth picking up. So if you are interested, make sure you check your local Walmart, because that's where my good buddy Matt found this for me, and you can hopefully find your own there. If not now, hopefully sometime soon. So make sure you grab this, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.